Yo, so how our thoughts can perpetuate negative cycles. So straight to it, our thoughts and our emotions pretty much go hand in hand, right? They're I wouldn't say one and the same, but you know, your thoughts will naturally reflect what's going on emotionally, right? That's just how it is. Like if you're fearful, right? You feel fearful, naturally you're gonna have thoughts of fear, right? So a lot of the time we because that is the case, right? Our thoughts reflect our emotions. Our thoughts actually can misconstrue things, and our thoughts, especially unconscious thoughts, when we're, how your mind just rambles and it's like you're in the back seat, right? You're not even like, it's like, they're playing in the background, but like you're not even aware of them, right? So that's dangerous because your thoughts have power, and if there's no like proper awareness of those thoughts, they can build up unconscious beliefs, and letting them just like say whatever they want, right? And they tend to, unconscious thoughts, that they spiral, right? They spiral emotions. So if we're having if we have a lot of fear, you notice that the thoughts drag you further into that fear, and it spirals you in further. It's like a vortex. They work hand in hand together, just like. But as well, the thoughts aren't necessarily true to the emotions, so that's why I say like it requires awareness. It requires awareness of your thoughts and emotions, and we're living in an unconscious world, so that's why so many people are just, in a way, like zombies, right? They're not in control. There's that limited amount of self-awareness. It's like they're giving their power over their thoughts and emotions, and just letting that run ship, especially our thoughts, like, and the thing with letting our thoughts just ramble in the background is that, like what I said, they're not necessarily true to the emotions, so it'll misconstrue things and it'll make things messy, right? Like a lot of the times what we're feeling, it's like, say we have a feeling of like not being good enough or insecurity, right? That's stemming from something that we've learned in our childhood, or some sort of trauma or experience that's been put into us, or we've experienced, and conditioning, right? So the thoughts may say, oh, I don't look good enough, I don't like the way I look, but that's not the root cause, right? That's just something for that emotion to attach itself on in the mind. So that's why, and we're playing around with truth, like we're thinking that, like that's it, that, oh, so I feel like this because I don't look good enough. But it's not. That emotion was already there. It's the mind just finds something to attach itself to. So it's like a tricky game we're playing, where you've got to bring awareness to like the sneaky ways in in the mind perpetuates these negative cycles and feelings, because it can do that, especially if we don't have that, we're not self-aware of what's going on with our thoughts. Because if we're just letting them ramble and you know, like, our thoughts are just going all the time, and I see it so much. You see people, they're you know, they're just so out of it. They're in like no man's land, you know. They're like completely in a daze. They're like, you know, they're gone. They're just, they're not centered. There's not that awareness. There's not that presence. They're just in thought forms and, like, you know, like thinking this about this and that, and it's just it's like, man, it makes your life like messy and like sporadic, and like I've seen it with people like close to me, especially when you're just in your head all the time. You're in your head. We've got to learn to not just be in here, man. Not just be in here. We have so much more. We have so much more going on than that. We've got to like learn to balance, right? And bring our awareness to more than just a singular point, more than just the mind, more than like just the emotions. So that requires self-awareness. It requires presence, and that requires you to go within and build that presence. And well, not exactly build it, because it's always there, but I'd say more just look for it, right? It's always there. We've just got to, I guess, pull back the blinds, or pull back the blinds which is hiding it. So, but it's so easy to get caught in thought forms and believing those thoughts are true, when a lot of the times the emotion stems from something not even to do with what we're thinking about, right? Like, we could have trauma from when we were a child playing out through thought forms of, like, you know, what you're doing today. Like oh, okay, I don't look good enough. You look in the mirror and you don't look good enough, and you know, and you think that that's like why you're feeling this, because you don't look good enough. But it's actually from something that happened when you were a child. So that's why, you know, our thoughts can misconstrue things and just perpetuate these negative feelings we're going through. So it requires you to just watch your thoughts, watch your emotions, and not just watch your thoughts in just your thoughts. Like, watch your thoughts, watch your emotions. So it requires you to take a step back from things. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't take a step back and realize that they're not their thoughts, they're not their emotions, right? There's something, they're the perceiver of it. And that's, you know, that's not something that me saying it'll just, it's something you've got to experience, obviously. But, you know, this is for the people that have that sense of self-awareness and aren't just completely identified with their thought, like, you know, thought forms, and just in their head all the time. Like, it's cool, like, I get it to be in your head. It's so, mate, the intellectual mind is powerful. Like, the mind is incredibly powerful. It's like, so that's why it requires awareness. That's why it requires us to take control more of it, to like have that awareness over it, because it's so powerful and it's a tool, right? Our mind's a tool. Our thoughts are tools to manifest stuff in this world and create things, but we're not using it as a tool. It's using us, right? It's like taking over our experience. It's taken over our experience. We're letting our thoughts rule us. But our thoughts, when you come into a more of a self-aware state, it's like, yeah, you're using your thoughts now more in a more aligned way. You're not ruled by your thoughts, you know? It's like they don't have that grip over you anymore. You know, they'll all, that's not to say that, you know, you don't have rambling thoughts and stuff. You'll never be able to fully control your mind and what it's saying. It's like, you know, the monkey mind. You if I tell you to think about monkeys right now, right? Now try and stop thinking about monkeys, right? Try and just stop, you know? It's like you can't just stop the mind from doing what it's doing. You've got to just pull back, and then you can see the thoughts for what they are, and you can let them play out, but not be overly identified and attached with them. When we're overly identified with thought forms, that's when we, you know, get in our head and we like muddle up our emotions, and like we're just like making a meal of things, really. Like we're making a mess of things because we're just in our heads too much. We need to have that balance, and that balance requires awareness, self-awareness. It requires, one way to build awareness is just do a body scan, right? Instead of just having your awareness in your head all the time, right? Body scan, feel your feet, feel it all, feel like your whole body as a whole, and everything that comes with that. So that's building more awareness when you're not just overly in one part of your body, especially in here, man. I know how easy it can be to just be stuck in those perpetual loops of madness, man. It's madness. Yeah, so I don't know, this video is a bit all over the place. I guess that makes sense, because that's usually how the mind works. If we're not if we're not in the if we're letting it take over the steering wheel, let's say, right? If we're letting our thoughts steer the ship, steer the car, where it's going to be a messy ride. It's going to be a bumpy ride, man. It is going to be a bumpy ride. So drop into your heart a bit, man. Drop into your heart. Go into your body. Feel your body. Feel everything that comes with that. You know, get out of your head, man. Get out of your head. Do some breath work. Breath work is powerful for getting you out of that overly, you know, those rambling thoughts. You know, when we do deep breath work, we anchor ourselves in that breath, and we pull ourselves out of those perpetual thought loops and everything that comes with that. So hopefully this meant something to someone. I appreciate you for watching. Thank you. Alright, see ya. So I just want to add to this video quickly. When we are overly in our head, we're overly in our ego, let's say, or intellectual mind, we tend to close off. We close off in our heart space. We close off our emotions. And that's when the real madness comes in, because when we close off our heart space, we allow the darkness to build up. We allow a shadow to build up. When you're in resistance to emotions and your heart space, you close off, right? And you're in resistance to life. Closing your heart is in resistance to life. So and then when you go overly in your headspace, you it's like kind of madness, right? Because you're in resistance to your emotions. You're bottling things up, right? You're closing things off. And when you do that, when you bottle things up and you don't look at them, you close things off, it's like a kettle, right? It'll keep getting hotter. It'll boil, and eventually it's like, you know, the lid's like, and then, you know, you see it explodes, man. And you see it with people. You see it with people in society that, you know, do horrendous acts. And what is that from? Is from closing off that heart space and letting that darkness build up, and then eventually it just explodes. So That's why we've got to really build that self-awareness with our emotions, with our thoughts, and really process things in a more harmonious way. Because if we're overly in our thoughts and closed off in our heart, man, it's messy. It is very messy, and it is, I'd say, madness in a way, because you're just, it's just cold. It's cold. You're cold. That's what it is. You're cold. And a lot of people this day and age are closed off in their hearts, and you see it through society and what people are doing, and you know, horrendous acts, because people are closed off in their hearts. And what happens when they're closed off in their hearts is they're closed off to connecting with others. So there's that, what's the word, empathetic, or not empathetic, like the opposite of that, right? So we're not even like, we're not connecting with others, meaning that we're not seeing other people for like human beings. We're seeing them as nothing in a way. We're like, and that's why it's so easy for people that are just closed off to just do horrendous acts. I wouldn't say it's easy, but like, you know, it's like, you know, they're so closed off, and they don't have that, they don't see the beauty in anyone, you know, because they don't see it in themselves. So, and it just makes them cold. And when you're cold, you're cold-hearted, man, and you'll do things that are cold-hearted. So sorry to leave it on that note. Hopefully this adds alright in the video. So alright, see ya.